Well, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for attending the Samsara Beyond event. This is my first event here, FreightWaves' first time at this wonderful, wonderful conference. And I'll tell you guys right now, it's a good one. It's blown away so far in only half the day. And I have some incredible guests that we're going to be talking to throughout the day as well, partners of Samsara. We also have technology providers, partners as well. So we'll get into a bunch of really cool stuff today. And our first guest, introduce yourself and the company you're with as well.
Sure. My name's Alejo Ordonez. I'm the U.S. Land Driving Manager with SLB. Been with SLB for about 22 years now, various roles in safety, and been doing the driving manager role here for the past 3.5 years.
The driver manager role, did you start off as a driver? How did you get into that role over time? Where's your career begin in this wonderful industry?
No, oddly enough, I started off with the company early 2000, spent the first 2 years as a contractor, not in the driving role. I was a maintenance assistant for the most part.
Yeah.
Helping the welder that we had working at the district out, doing a lot of the ground work, like chipping cement and grinding, and then got into procurement when I first got hired on with the company, which is like in 2003, and did procurement for like 4 years. And then in 2006, 2007 is when I ended up getting into not driving, but we've been using telematics for a long time, right? So we were using a system at that time that was very administratively heavy. So I was doing, so I got to learn, obviously, the DOT regulations, got to understand, what telematics is, what we're trying to accomplish by using telematics. So I did, we call the driver monitor administrator role for about 1.5 years. And then I got into an actual safety manager position.
Interesting. So fleet-wise, how many vehicles are we looking at, distance-wise, regional?
Yeah. So within the U.S., we have about, give or take, about 2,500 steering wheels, combination of heavy, medium, and light trucks. We average on per year about 35 to 40 million miles driven. So it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot of drive. I think it turned into about 93,000 miles a day that we drive. Wow. So a lot of exposure.
A lot of assets to watch, right?
Absolutely.
And I love you to touch on the safety aspect, because I think we'll get into that a little bit more too, especially the telematics and the real outcome that we're focused on with that.
Yep.
I want to talk about your relationship with Samsara and how that developed, right? You said that it was manual. I'm sure a lot of fun data sheets, Excel, all that fun stuff being used. What made you start to realize, okay, we need a better partnership, or at least a technology that goes past this?
Well, I think like I mentioned, we've been using telematics in our vehicles for a while, and we've actually made a couple of changes within the telematics devices that we were using. So the initial device, as I mentioned, was very administratively heavy. You had to download, extract your data. It wasn't real-time information. It was after the fact. And then we made a transition to a different provider that was real-time, objective information, but it didn't provide the, like, I want to say, driver behavior, right? You got a lot of vehicle behavior, like, the speeding, the accelerations, the hard brakes, but didn't really quite understand what's driving those detections. Exactly, right? So then we started looking into, okay, we know dash cams are out there. There's the capabilities to detect driving behavior, like cell phone utilization, distractions, rolling stops, following too closely, things like that, right? That we thought, okay, if we're going to make a change, let's invest in this technology and see if it can help improve an already strong safety culture within our organization. So, like I mentioned, we went through an RFP, which we tested a couple of different devices in, but Samsara, right off the bat, we saw how easy it was to utilize the dashboard, the amount of information that you could get from the vehicle, not only, of course, from the driver safety, but the vehicle safety as well, like, the diagnostics, immediate fault codes. And then it seemed like every time we would log into the dashboard, there was a new feature. So it was like, well, this is cool. It's like this company doing a lot to just keep on, they're not satisfied, right? They're trying to improve. So, which for me, it's awesome, right? Because I get to take advantage of the tools that they put out there. So then, we decided to go with Samsara in 2023. We started implementing it in all our vehicles, and I can tell you it's probably one of the better decisions we made.
Yeah, I got to sit down this week and really look at their dashboard and how it works, and I I'm a big proponent of the user right design, how easy it is to flow through it. So easy, almost too easy at a
Yeah.
on a training level, right? It's like one of those things. Where it's like if you can use an iPhone, you'll definitely be able to use this thing, no problem whatsoever. Very like in order like gauging certain goals and things like that, right? Like the way they use green, red, and make it simple for you to as a lead manager, right, to say, okay, this is where we need to improve, and this is clearly what we are doing great at, which is good, right? We always want to drivers thank you for the good behavior,
Absolutely.
coach through the bad behavior, which we'll get into in a second. I want to ask you the thing about technology in particular, and I think especially in this industry, is it usually comes with some really intense change management, right? And especially if you're going from what seems like a more analog type of system before, what was that like for you implementing the culture to make sure that this investment in this technology worked out for you in the long run, and that drivers were behind you on that decision?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I think it was, we focused on the three major stakeholders, which was obviously the number one, our drivers. Number two was our HR team, and three was our legal department, right? Because, each one of them obviously has their own concerns, right? Obviously, from a legal standpoint, what's our liability? From an HR standpoint, driver privacy, and then from the driver standpoint, well, they're the ones driving the vehicles, right? So we didn't want them to feel like an invasion of privacy. So right off the bat, we opened the line of communication between ourselves and drivers, made sure they understood what the technology was, what it detected, what it didn't do, primarily also how their privacy would be respected through the use of the facial blurring technology.
True, yeah.
Yeah, and then of course, making sure that only certain people had access to the harsh event videos that came through, and utilized it, showed them also how we can utilize this positively. As you just mentioned a little while ago, the positive recognition of the drivers for doing something right far exceeds the coaching because they did something wrong, right? I think the buy-in is absolutely. So, taking that into account, we developed an FAQ to kind of answer a lot of questions. We held, like I would say town hall meetings to kind of open the door to drivers so they could express their concerns, had live dashboard demonstrations to show them, hey, this is how it works. This is what it detects. These are the videos that come through. You can see your privacy is going to be respected. There's no audio coming through, so their conversations are private. So, we did a lot to make sure that they felt comfortable with the technology before we said, let's go ahead and turn the switch on and take advantage of all the bells and whistles that come along with the Samsara device.
Yeah, I think that's number one. I do a Sirius XM show, and I get a lot of feedback from drivers directly. They love to call in and tell me about all this tech I talk about, their biggest fears, right? And that's a big one, right? It's like, I don't need someone watching me 24/7.
Exactly.
First off, no one wants to watch you 24/7. I always love that. I'm like, sir, no one really wants to be watched. There's not I hope to God no one's paying someone to watch someone 24/7, right? Let the driver do his thing. But you're right. It's like, let us watch you and let us thank you for the good jobs that you're doing. And even like going through some of the, like I said, the dashboards and stuff, it's like, oh, some of these fleets are performing excellent. They have really high safety standards, and someone needs to be able to point that out too. So I'm happy it's not. I don't want people to look at this area of technology and think it's about stopping bad behavior. And if anything, it's let's change the way people look at drivers and appreciate drivers. And I think building that culture is huge too. I love the HR and legal points. No one ever wants to talk about that. So, but it's a good point as well. As you started to implement it, what kind of change did you see in the organization when it came, especially to safety? Right, I think that's a lot of people really care about. Consumers too, right? With everyone on the road.
Yeah, I mean, we invest a lot into our training, and we're very proud of our the driving program that we've built, right? But again, we were still having our crashes, right? And unfortunately, we would have. We'd go through our investigations, and a lot of times, we wouldn't find out that a driver was distracted or maybe fatigue played a role until after a very thorough investigation was completed, right? So, showing the drivers how this could help, and not only, of course, prevent those, but improve their driving, habits, right? I guess. Now, the thing we always tell the guys, we're not here to show you how to drive. We just want to make, your habits, make you a better driver, right?
Yeah.
So with the ability to be able to customize how the events get detected, and again, not make them so aggressive to where they don't become background noise. I think the drivers caught on to that. And then also, of course, the fact that if they had an incident, or if they had a harsh event, we could quickly analyze that to see if it was because like a hard break because they were driving defensively, or if it was something we need to learn from, right? And the defensive driving part, I think, like I mentioned earlier, that's been the real win for us because we've been able to recognize individuals for their use of our, the training that they receive within our training schools to avoid crashes. And I know we talked about earlier in the keynote message, right? The CEO delivered, he said about how many accidents prevented. That's absolutely true.
It's incredible. Well, even it's interesting because I got to go actually visit a customer of Samsara's yesterday, and they're talking about their drivers. They're like, they'll hear from their customer or their drivers, like managers, hey, we saw this harsh, is everything okay? And it's the ability to even make that phone call, right? And like feel, oh, you don't just care about the safety of the company, right? And the legality of the company. You actually care about me as a person.
Exactly.
And that I'm coming home every night, to my family. And I think that's huge as well. Now, clearly, this, again, wonderful event. I've been blown away so far. The keynotes from the CEO and CPO were amazing. We'll talk with Kieran actually right after you as well. And that's going to be exciting as a user, though, of his wonderful products as well. Mm-hmm. I'm interested, why attend this event, right? Like, clearly you're seeing some great outcomes. Why is it important for you to be here at Beyond?
Well, I think for one, it's you get to network with people that do similar roles as us, right? And obviously you can see their passion for making the road safer and again, improving driver behavior and of course making the positive impact on reducing the automotive crashes. So it's good because it gives us an opportunity obviously to see also some of the I know Samsara offers their like apps that they or partnership with. And it kind of gives you an opportunity to understand what exactly they do as well, because there's so many different options there. You're like, I don't know, I'm afraid to turn this one on. I don't know what it does. And at least here you get to kind of experience and understand, oh, okay, that's what this technology is. Yeah. That's what this application does. Maybe it's something you get benefit from. So, hearing, of course, also what's up and coming, that's new, that's coming, through the pipeline. It's just, it makes, it gives you kind of more, I guess, motivation to maybe try something different, and also, of course, maybe take advantage of some of the other applications that are available through the dashboard.
Yeah, it's I was telling someone today, and I almost felt like watching like a Apple conference. Like I was pumped along with you guys, and I don't even have a fleet of carriers I'm managing, but it's exciting. I mean, from the tracker that they had as well. You guys check out FreightWaves.com. We just wrote about it on the site too. I mean, I'm sure your head is kind of spinning of where the technology could go. Is there anything that you've learned so far? Any companies that you've talked to that are kind of on your mind, or have you already thinking of things that you could implement at the company?
Yeah, no, I mean, the asset tracker, I think was something that it really got my attention because we do have a lot of trailers. We have a lot of miscellaneous equipment that, can go missing. We've lost pieces of equipment before, not purposely, but just what happened to this thing? All of a sudden you get a phone call from the truck stop. Hey, you going to pick up this vehicle, or this trailer's been here for 2 years. So, having that ability to track those vehicles and it basically pinging off like what they mentioned, Bluetooth. I think that can be a game changer for a couple of reasons. Also, the other thing is we have a lot of vehicles that we use mixed use. So basically we have regulated, non-regulated, and they're supposed to be regulated when they're pulling trailers. Sometimes, we don't know they're pulling the trailer. So the way to identify that would be that, okay, this asset tracker is moving. It's dialed up to this F250. Yeah. Hopefully this guy's changed his regular duty stats, right? So it gives you the ability to take action right there and then. That's what I'm thinking. Hopefully
No, that's what I think is really cool. And for everyone that sees all these videos too, that's the best part about doing this here at the show, is we're going to hear about these like very unique use cases. And I think that's what's great. I mean, I've talked to over a handful of customers of Samsara so far. And it's like, that's what I'm hearing about more and more, is not just so much like the what you get on day one, but like the customization and how closely they work with you to make sure that you are getting what you need. And also what's like kind of cool about what you're talking about right now is like, you didn't even know that could be a solution until you came here today, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so like that brainstorming, I think, is so interesting. And I'm interested in like your direct partnership with Samsara in particular. Like, What is that like for you? And when it comes to customizing things, and how easy were they to work with to make sure you got the specific value that you needed to get out of the system?
Yeah. Well, we got a couple of really good, representatives from Samsara that support us. Amanda, I think she's here somewhere, and Chelsea.
Yeah.
They've definitely been very engaged. We have our monthly calls, so they listen to some of the challenges, things that we see that maybe they can help us improve on. API feeds coming from Samsara. How can we integrate that with our fleet system? How can we integrate that with our payroll? Things like that, right? So it's been that open line of communication, and then you see the deliverable come in at the end is helpful because they're listening to your concerns, they're listening to your suggestions, and it's being implemented, right? It's being actioned on.
For sure. For all those out there that are looking up to your leadership today, and we're going to get a little bit to you now, a little bit less on us, Sarah, the wonderful company that brought us together, right? Right. For those that are listening and maybe working with fleets or getting too close to your size or really maybe want a position like yours one day, what advice would you give them when it comes to your role, working with drivers, creating the culture, I think, and most importantly, to be able to implement these more, I'd say, technologically advanced solutions in an industry that's known for being traditional, right?
Right.
What advice would you share?
It's a good question. If I had to share anything, I'd say, look at this from the driver's perspective. Don't put yourself in a position where you're looking from behind the desk. Understand their challenges, understand, what they need, right, to make their job successful. I think helps because then you can talk in there and, help them understand why you're doing this. Because again, the way you discuss, you mentioned management of change, and the way you sell technology is how is it going to benefit them, right? I think you show them the why first, then you're going to get buy-in from them, as opposed to just force feeding them with a spoon saying this is you got to do this. We're big brother, right? Which is not the environment you want to create. So I think that's been very beneficial. Is just again, like I said, putting myself in the driver's shoes and understanding their challenges. So that way, of course, I can help improve their driving environment, and of course, make the road safer for them as well.
Love that. Here's another question. Maybe you might not know this, but we'll end it off on a fun one. Magic Johnson's keynoting tomorrow.
Yeah.
If you could ask him any question, what do you think it would be?
That's a good one.
How do we get the Lakers back to where they were?
I'm a Spurs man, so I can't. There you go.
I miss you, Steak Rat. So I live. He's my guy forever.
Yeah. No, it's funny. No, I definitely would ask who is the better player, him or Larry Bird? No,
yes, that's a good one.
I've seen the documentaries. It's awesome. Those two guys are super competitive individuals. So
yeah. I like that one. If I'm trying to work a chance to meet him, so if I do, I'll ask him for you and I'll make sure to pass it on.
Appreciate that.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us for Conversation Day. For everyone out there, enjoy this conference. We'll have people throughout today and tomorrow joining us in this wonderful booth as well. And I just want to thank you, of course, for joining us and for being a part of the Samsara family.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you for joining me.